today I'm talking to you. My name is Juliana Salgado, and today I'm talking to you about accessibility. So I'll introduce you myself, then I'll tell you why we should start talking about accessibility. Then I'll show the existing features, and I'll do a little demonstration, and finally a brief conclusion of the session. So let's start by talking about myself. My name is Juliana Salgado. I'm from Brazil, and I graduated as System Analysis last year in PUC University, Campinas, in Campinas. And back in 2014, I did an undergraduate research about helping aphakic people and improving their life qualities with an assistive communication app. And in fact, that was the reason why I'm talking about it today. That's when I started loving accessibility issues. Since last year, I'm an iOS developer in the Brazilian education program for iOS development. And within just 3 months of development, I was one of the WWDC scholarship winners. And this year I was awarded with this opportunity again. It was really nice. Finally, I'm currently working at iFood, the biggest food delivery platform in Brazil. I'll show you a little bit about it later. But why should we talk about accessibility? Like Jay said before, this is really important. Like, we just had a session about doing things that matters, and accessibility is not only about users, it's about how they use the features, how they will interact with your app. And I need to say that because two users are not the same nor have the same abilities, so that's something we need to consider. To prove that, let me show something. There is around 7 billion people in the world. From this amount, 1 billion people suffer with some kind of disability. From these 360 million people suffers with hearing loss. 680 million people suffers with color blindness. Finally, 280 million people suffers with vision impaired. It means they're blind or they have the vision compromised or something like that. So the point here, there are so many people in need of accessibility content, and also we need to consider how much of the market we're losing when not giving much attention to it. So we need to start thinking about it. But I need to ask you, does your app provide support for all these people? Please raise your hand, those that has an accessible app ready to be used. Nobody. That's the point. We need to start more concerned about developing accessibility in our apps. And knowing that so many are in need of accessibility content, I'll show you the existing features and how we can use them. So, for physical issues, Apple provides switch control. This huge button is the switch control device made for people with physical or motor disabilities, where they can navigate through sessions. And for them, it's amazing because they're possible to do like selecting, even doing freehand drawing. They really have a lot of possibilities with just one button. And as developers, we can verify if it's enabled with UI accessibility, is switch control running. And we can also use accessibility notifications. In this case, I pause and I resume what's going on for a little bit. And I keep listening to it with the default notification center, where the notification is the kind of the notification you're listening, and the argument is the text you want to be said, or the element you want to be focused. We can also use the default notification center to, in this case, UI accessibility switch control status did change notification. It's a huge big name. But it's enabled, you will listen to this when the user changed the settings in the device. For learning issues, we have switch control. guided access. I just talked about switch control. So switch control is made for people with cognitive issues or sensory challenges, where the caretaker sets a password, sets the highlights where you can interact with, and just start the session. So the person in this case wouldn't be able to edit our alarms, just enable and disable it. And developers can verify if it's enabled too with UI accessibility is guided access enabled. And also we can set the identifiers that we want the user to be able to enable or disable, like those highlights. And these are the same identifiers we use in switch control to pause and resume. So they are like combined, we can use together. Finally, we can start a guided access session in our app. So let's suppose I want to start a form, or I want the user just do this. You can't do anything else. So we're able to start a guided access in our app. For visions, we have voiceover.
Voiceover on. Settings. Accessibility. Back button. Voiceover. Heading. Voiceover on.
So voiceover is a screen reader where the user will listen what's under his finger. It's the most powerful feature. It's the one I really encourage you to think about, and this is the one I'm talking about to you later. To navigate with voiceover, there are basic gestures we do, like swipe left to change, to listen to the items, and double click to select. That's the basic. And we can verify if it's enabled again with UI's voiceover running, because in some cases it makes sense to adapt your app for visual impairment users. And we have the UI accessibility protocol. That is the protocol that has all the accessible information for users. And we have the UI accessibility element that has those informations. So we have accessibility frame, hint, label, value. Those Jade showed us. But there is too much. We'll talk a little bit about it later. And in case you have more than one accessible part and you need to group accessibility elements, that's what we'll do with UI accessibility container. We can use post notifications, in this case the layout change notification, where the parameter is the text you want the user to hear or the view you want the element to focus on. This is a really important notification we should use, because for voiceover users, when something changes in the layout, they hear a different sound. That is, just with this notification we can tell them, hear that sound, it means, oh, something changed in the screen, I have to see what's going on. And we can also have the phone notification center UI accessibility announcement did finish, which is in case if voiceover finishes speaking, and let's suppose she just said, oh, open the clock, and you want to do something after she did it, say something, this is the notification you use. And now
Headings.
we have
Characters. Words.
The user selects what he
Containers.
wants to hear.
Headings.
So let's suppose I want to hear headings.
Fun for the little ones. Heading.
We'll skip the
See
next
all.
heading.
Button. Heading. New games we love. Heading. See all. Button. Heading. Say it with a sticker. Heading. Characters.
Or characters.
Cap S. A. Y. Yet words. It. With. A. Sticker. Speaking rate. 66%. 61%. Containers. Selected. Featured. Tab. 1 of 5. Categories. Tab. 2 of 5. Top charts. Tab. 3 of 5.
So this is a really powerful feature that is, imagine you were blind and you had your new games we love and you wanted to go to that rage motion animated rage. We would to walk all over the lists and navigate one by one. So with this, we're able to have our customize what do we want to hear. So let's go to the headers and see what I want, what am I looking for. And now in iOS 10, we are able to create our own router. So let's suppose in my case, in my iFood app, I have a lot of things, a lot of lists. They are so long, and I want them to be able to hear just sandwiches. So I can create my own router and make them listen to just what I want. Zoom can be used with VoiceOver and just amplifies the part of the screen while let the rest in this native size. We also can verify if it's enabled, and we have this when the focus changes, so you can treat with it, like change the font or do whatever you want. And display accommodations, we have like invert colors. And the new one in iOS 10 is color filters. For those with color blindness or difficult reading text, we just set which range are we can see that well. We have grayscale, we have green, and here we have the scale of the color blindness you have, which one is it, and you'll be able, Apple will do it alone. You don't have to do anything. We also have, larger text. Dynamic text is something really useful for those, one day we'll be old, we won't be able to see everything, and it will be really useful. And there is more to explore, like reduce motion. That is for those that are not really good with animations and blurs. And we can verify everything is enabled, is like bold, reduce transparency, and darker system colors or reduce motion, and we can deal with it in our app. Finally, for hearing, Apple provides hearing aids that is made to be used together with the iPhone to improve hearing quality. And the user can also set like mono audio and subtitles. And in our app, we're supposed to see if it's enabled and give this needed support. So now that we know all those issues, all that we can do for those issues, I'll get a little piece of the puzzle, just 2,085 million vision impaired people, and I'll make something accessible for them. And I'll do it with a demonstration and making my app accessible. So this is iFood. iFood is a delivery platform where you can see restaurants, offers, and you can request something to eat. This is the screen you see when you just finished an order. You can review your last orders, you can invite your Facebook friends, see your last orders, recent restaurants. You can track your order on map to see where the driver is, if it's on the way. But before we try this with the voiceover on, there's two questions I always encourage you to answer. Like, can voiceover speak everything that is contained within your app? And can voiceover do everything within your app? So let's answer those questions listening to it with voiceover on.
Orders. Heading. Your order is being prepared. Button. Modelo 9. Test pause 2. Order number 2373. Button. Legal. Link. Random recurso visible. Use the rotor to track order. Button. See details. Button. Pending reviews. Number 5415 bullet 18/review. Button. See all. Button. Button.
So as you can see,
Invite your
voiceover
friends.
is speaking what is behind.
Take the good news for those who don't know
what
iFood
is
yet.
not really visible.
Invite Facebook friends.
It's kind
Button.
of confused.
Last orders. Number 2373 bullet 08/10/6. Number 9392 bullet 07. Number 5415 bullet 18/0. Number 4876 bullet 31/0. Number 3647 bullet 07/. See all. Button. Recent restaurants.
Weird.
Modelo 9. Test post. Test battery.
We always are able
Black dot.
to
Stop.
see what's
Stop dot
behind
hamburger.
that is not visible. It doesn't make
What about very
sense.
little?
Also, as you can
This suggestion
see,
is based in your last order.
do you know that
Brazil.
that
See
button,
menu. Button. See another
VoiceOver
suggestion.
doesn't see.
Button.
So we should see those buttons. And also, some images is really uses VoiceOver to say the name of the image, like I could dismiss instead of close Facebook or dismiss this card or something like that. We're seeing these things are not visible, so if it's not visible, I don't want to see it. That's why I have the open and close button. And we have also the track order view. That is the view you track your order and see where's the driver, what's going on with your order.
Your order is on the way equals. Heading. Legal. Link.
Rua Prostade, Noroeste, Rua Manuel Joaquim, Rua H, Leste 8, Travessa 3, Travessa B, Rua Geraldo Meso 8,
It's kind of hard to reach the pin
Travessa
side.
Ouvidor,
Rua State Apparent.
Rua B, Travessa A,
Alfinito Mapa. Alfinito Mapa. Alfinito
What
Mapa.
is Alfinete de Mapa?
Most amazing.
You know,
Travessa A,
Alfinito
it's
Mapa.
really not accessible.
Alfinito Mapa.
I
Ike
can
Center.
know what's going on.
Ike Center.
What
Ike
is
Center.
Ike
Button. Ike
Center?
Center. Button.
Ike Center should be like centralize the map or the Alfinete de Mapa. What is this? Like, where is the user? What's going on? What's the requested time? How much it's gonna take for me to? So no, it's terrible. No way, not accessible at all. But before we move on, to understand accessibility problems a little better, we need to talk about the UI accessibility protocol I introduced you before. Since we have too much to talk about, I'll focus on those used more frequently, those more important ones. It is accessibility hinge, label, and traits. To help me setting my accessibility elements and to see what do I really need to use, I answer some questions. The first question is, do I serve a purpose? In this case, I said, is accessibility element yes. Doing that, VoiceOver is able to find what is going on. So what was totally black, now we can see and navigate through items. Just setting the is accessibility element yes. Another one is what's my name? So answer is with the accessibility label, which means what do I want VoiceOver to speak when the user focus on an element. So I want to hear your orders being prepared, the restaurant name, track your order, see details, pending reviews, and not like I could dismiss or the name of the image. This is what you want the user to hear. And one more is what's my personality that I said with accessibility traits. It means I tell VoiceOver what kind of element I'm dealing with. So I can have headings, static text, buttons, and images. And finally, how should people interact with me? It means the accessibility hinge. The accessibility hinge, I used to tell VoiceOver how to interact with an element. And besides telling VoiceOver how to interact with an element, I can also tell VoiceOver what will happen when he performs the click. So double tap to track your order, or I should say, open the restaurant, open the map view controller. You will see you're tracking your order. We have these both possibilities. But how hard it would be to test the entire app with VoiceOver on? How much effort would it be? We are not really familiar with VoiceOver navigation. Listening to her is really, really tiring. She speaks too fast. It's imagine a huge app, you testing every time, listen to her. At the end of the day, you will be exhausted. So, thinking about that and all those stuff we need to concern, I'll introduce you this year a little more news, Accessibility Inspector. Accessibility Inspector is already existed, but in Xcode 8, it's amazing. It's really better. Well, this tool mirrors user actual experience, so you can test all the accessibility issues with just one click, one touch. You can access this with Open Developer Tool, Accessibility Inspector. But before I show you a demo using it, I'll show you what you will find. So there are 4 main features. The first one is the inspector pointer that shows anything is under your finger or under the mouse cursor in case of the simulator. You'll see it later. Inspection that helps debug and analyze accessibility issues and see what the content of the element, the accessibility content of an element. Audit that we can find what's going on. We can see what we need to fix in our app to make it accessible. And settings that with just one click we see how a setting will look like in our app. So to start, we need to open it with Xcode, Open Developer Tool, Accessibility Inspector. Once we did, the first thing we need to set is what do I want to inspect. So I'll choose the simulator. Since you see this quick look and the inspector pointer selected. So as you can see, anything is under my mouse cursor, I can see there. So I can see the label, your order is being prepared, there is no value, the traits are, in this case, is button. And this is an easier way than listening to VoiceOver, right? And once you double click one item, you'll move to Inspector button, where you can perform clicks. But the most amazing thing is you can navigate through items in the same order VoiceOver will do. So if you go there, we'll see how VoiceOver would interact with the elements. What order would VoiceOver or any other accessibility feature navigate? So I don't think it makes sense because we were from your order is being prepared for the pin icon and then to the title. We have some trouble here, and we can not only figure out accessibility issues but also usability issues here. So as you can see here, we will see the same navigation we did with VoiceOver on listening to it, and we'll see it will skip the buttons, and it's really useful. We can see also the view hierarchy in case we have sometimes we have a problem that why is this not accessible, and here we can see, oh, because it's not in the right hierarchy of the views, or we can see the label if it makes sense, we can see the traits, we can test everything. But it would be nice to just with one click see what do I need to fix. I don't want to start testing everything. And that's what I do with the Run Audit button. Since I do it, it shows me all the accessibility issues that is going on here. Like the label of this element is an image file name, and how to fix it. Set a readable human resource with accessibility label. And since I click it, I open the documentation in your browser. So it couldn't be easier to fix your issues. The Accessibility Inspector not only shows you what's going on, it shows you a preview of the element in the bottom screen, and it tells you how to fix it. So basically, just follow Accessibility Inspector and you make your app accessible. You don't need to study that much accessibility to do it. But there is one more tab that is Settings. In an ordinary day, you would have to go to Settings, and then you would have to go to General, Accessibility, and enable what you want to see what looks like in your app, like invert colors. Then you would go back to your app, see how it looks, make just some checkpoints, and go back there to disable it. But with this tab, it's just one click, one interaction, and we see what's going on. So we can see how will invert colors look like in our app, and how will reduce transparency, reduce motion, font size. And the most amazing thing is, why are those features here? Why is just invert colors, reduce transparency, reduce motion, and font size, since we have so many things available? Well, at WWDC this year, Apple said these are what they want us to test. These are the most important ones. So they're doing all the work for us. So now that we know what we need to concern about, what needs to be fixed, we can fix it. This is a helper method I created to set any element as an accessible element. So the first question, as I told you, is accessibility element is true, because I want VoiceOver to be able to access that view. And I set the accessibility label with the text I want the user to hear, and the personality with the which kind of element am I dealing with. In this case, I'm showing you the button piece. So if I'm button, I have the UI accessibility trait button, and I want the hint to be double tap to select. But you don't always have to set a hint, just where it makes sense for you, because users use it to navigate, so they know how to do it. And unless you have a different navigation, it's worth doing the accessibility hint. So to fix those buttons that I wasn't able to see, what do I do? Well, basically, I set the accessibility label, so it says open or close. And I set the accessibility elements. It's only available after iOS 8. What does it do? I don't want VoiceOver to say the elements in that order it's saying. Like, I want it to say the card title, then I want to be able to open or close the button. I want to change the navigation order, and that's how I do it. Just setting an array with accessibility elements that makes VoiceOver speak in the order I want the user to hear. And when the button is not selectable, I want also to change the order it's visiting, because we have some views. Imagine if it's not open, we don't have some views appearing, so I don't want those views to be accessible. I don't want the user to hear what's not appearing like he did before. So to fix that, I only set the table view as is accessibility element as false, and it should work. To make that not say like legal and to make it accessible, again, I set the accessibility label and traits according to the status of the order. Because if like the order is confirmed, maybe I can access it. If the order is arrived, I don't want the user to be able to track the order. So I just set the label and the traits according to what I want, what is the order status is, and what do I want the user to hear. So as I told you before, we really use it, accessibility label and accessibility traits. There are a lot of using. Finally, for that icon that she was saying, Ike dismiss, the name of the image, there is always an easier way to do things make accessible, and that's with storyboard. Here, if you have static text that won't change, you can use storyboard. So yeah, like here, I had the label, the hint, double tap to dismiss Facebook card, and I set the trait as a button. So it's always easier to use the storyboard in case static texts, but in case you have things that is changing too much, VoiceOver have some trouble working with it. So I recommend you, really encourage you to do it with coding. So let's see working.
Orders. Heading. Your order is. Your order is being prepared. Modelo 9. Test POS 2 order number 4522. Button. Track order on map. Button. Track order. Button. See details. Button. Pending reviews. Close. Button. Open.
So that's why I switched
Close.
the order of the items, so it says pending
Number
reviews and
5415.
close and
Review.
navigate.
Button. See all. Button. Dismiss. Button. Double tap to open. Button.
It would say here.
Invite your friends.
So again,
Last
I changed
orders.
the order.
Open.
And now I
Button.
don't listen what is behind.
Recent restaurants.
And I did it was is accessibility label
Button.
is false.
What about
easy.
very a little? Open. Button.
So now it seems like it's accessible. We can hear the open and close buttons. We have a meaning. We can navigate with an order that makes sense. But we still need to fix those pings that were weird, like Alfine de Mapa. I don't know what it is. So to fix that, it's again, I just set the accessibility label, and that's all. What I do here is I want the user to know where he is. So I want the VoiceOver to speak, you are at Howard Street. or if the driver is coming, the driver is at Howard Street, it will arrive in 22 minutes, and I already have that information in my app because I'm displaying that. So all I'll do is set this information in an accessibility label. And every time I get a new position, I'll update this label. It was pretty easy, just an accessibility label, and the user will now be able to track its order. So let's see it working.
Your order is being prepared. Close. Button. Your order is being prepared. Heading. Hooray. Now just sit tight and relax, wing. As soon as your order is on your way, you can track here. You are at Rua Geraldo Mesa Ramal Rugeri. Your order is. Your order is being prepared.
She speaks a
Shows
little
you are
bit
at
fast,
Tradessa B.
but she's saying the
Shows more
street
info.
you are,
Use the rotor to
your
access
order
points of interest.
status, and here she's
Centralized
speaking
location.
what you are.
Button.
Centralized location, not anymore Ike dismiss or Ike centralized button, I don't know the name of the image. So answering again those questions, can VoiceOver speak everything that is contained within your app? Well, definitely yes, we can access everything that is in the screen, except for some images, because images are, we always need to think, when will we make an image accessible? If it has a meaning for the user, if it's not a visual thing, then don't do it. But if in this case, I didn't do any image except the buttons accessible. So now VoiceOver can speak everything. VoiceOver, the next question, can do everything. Yes, we can track the order. We know what's going on. Now it's not just listing a lot of things that don't make sense. So we have our app accessible, and as you can see, it's little to no extra effort. Now Accessibility Inspector helps you a lot. You don't have to do a lot of research, you just have to follow there and see, well, Accessibility Inspector is telling me to fix this, so just do it. And it was just with a few lines of code, and I did this just for VoiceOver users, just for visual impairment. Imagine how far you can go thinking about physical and learning and dealing with color issues and much more. So as conclusion, I really encourage you to think about the more people can use your app, more they will. So think about considering, no, don't tell your boss, oh, we should start implementing accessibility. It will never work. I tried it. So what we need to do is, when you're estimating a task, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to do this, so think, how much would it take? If I'm taking 8 hours, to do it accessible, I would take 10. Okay, so then I'll make it 10. And start it by yourself. And I really encourage you to think about it and start implementing accessibility in your apps. This is where you can find more accessibility content. I really encourage you to watch this session that shows more about Accessibility Inspector. There is a way you can debug more, and you can send reports of accessibility issues. So it's a really powerful feature. I really encourage you. And also it's really better than listening to VoiceOver talking and talking and talking. And this is it. This is where you can find me, my email and my LinkedIn. If in case you have any doubts, please contact me. I'll be really happy to help you with accessibility issues. And that's it. Any questions? So, fine. Thank you.